Welcome back to Johnny's Scramble Drill. This is the Week 8 edition. I'm Stucky, and joining me, as always, none other than Mr. Johnny Manziel. As we do each week, we will talk three of the marquee games on Saturday's slate. Just happened to all be on ABC this week, so you won't even have to change the channel on your TV. Johnny, you ready to get into it?
Let's get into it.
All right, let's kick things off here with Miami traveling to Louisville. Miami looking to stay undefeated. Haven't covered in two straight, but have escaped with wins. It's gotten a little iffy. Huge comeback win against Cal, and then survived the review that seemed like it took 10 minutes against Virginia Tech on the final play of the game. Miami's still undefeated, going up to Louisville. Been a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde. Do you like Cam Ward and company to get it done?
I'm going to take Louisville this week in the points. I think, Miami's been hanging on for dear life a little bit these last couple of weeks and has been lucky to escape. The big thing about them is as explosive as they are and as many explosive plays as they have, they equally almost give up as many explosive plays this every single week. So, I think it's going to be a lot of the same. I think this is probably a game that Miami finds a way to win, but one that'll end up being close because Louisville is a team that, they like to stick around, they like to fight, and I think they're good enough to stay in this game.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with the explosive plays, is that's been an issue with Miami's defense. You saw it against Virginia Tech, a team that hadn't been explosive all year. Cal hit a number of explosive plays, and if there's one thing that the Louisville offense has been this year, it's definitely been explosive. So, yeah, they might have the chops here to keep up. All right, let's move on to our second game. Curious to get your thoughts here because I have no idea how this game's going to play out. Alabama at Tennessee. I look, I mean, you look at these two teams early in the season, they both look dominant. They both have marquee wins, and then they get upset. And then you expect them to bounce back, and they almost get upset again. I mean, Tennessee is a huge home favorite. Lose to Florida. I mean, almost lost to Florida. Game goes to overtime. Florida's quarterback gets hurt. Alabama, after losing to Vanderbilt, comes home against South Carolina. Could have lost that game. So, I mean, if you can figure out either one of these two teams, you're a smarter man than me. What do you see here between Alabama and Tennessee?
Man, I see two teams that are both, equally having their struggles. But I think this is a game that Alabama finds a way to come back and get back to being themselves a little bit. Obviously, we got to see in the Georgia game they played 3 weeks ago. They have the capability of putting things together and being a top team in college football. And then you look at them the last 2 weeks and you're curious, how that was ever even the case. But I think this is a game that they get back on track and they start rolling a little bit again. I mean, the talent is there, the pieces are there. And Tennessee's just struggled a little bit enough, and they're going to run into a team, that has talent. I think this is a game Alabama finds a way to win.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the difference might just be Jalen Milroe. I mean, I think that you can just trust him more at this point than Nico, who doesn't look that confident, still so young. And both secondaries do have some question marks. Who can take advantage more might be the difference. And maybe you just trust the more experienced and what I think is just the more confident looking quarterback at this point in Jalen Milroe, but should be a good one there. Let's stay in the SEC, and we're going to head down south to Austin. Should be rocking when Georgia comes to town. Not often you see this number next to Georgia. You usually see the number one next to Georgia. That's going to be next to Texas, but you don't often see Georgia as an underdog of, especially of more than a field goal. You like the dog? The question I have personally for this game is Texas? We've seen this play out. Is Texas just like some of the other teams we've seen this year, where they look great? I just talked about Alabama and Tennessee. They look great against lesser competition. Ole Miss. But once you step up in class, okay, let's come back to reality a bit. Georgia has been battle tested. Saw them against Clemson. Saw them against Alabama. Texas, I mean, look, Michigan way down this year. Oklahoma, backup quarterback, missing all the receivers, way down this year. This is their first real true test. What do you see here, Johnny?
Man, I like Georgia this week against the spread and money line. I think this is exactly right. Texas hasn't really played a team on the level of Georgia this year, and I look and see this Georgia offense, and there's times throughout the year where they look like they have a guy who could be the first quarterback off the board. They look like they have guys around the offense that are five stars and they're playing their part. And then there's times where they just struggle a little bit. And I think this is a game that they put all the pieces together. They're very, very ready for this game. They played a good Alabama team, not a great Alabama team. And this is a Texas team that I think has been good, but they just really haven't had to play anybody with the caliber of what this Georgia team is.
Yeah, saw that with even Ohio State, right? It looked so dominant, but haven't really played anyone, go out to Oregon and then lose. I think one of the keys for Georgia, and I believe you can trust Kirby Smart to get this done, is, I mean, number one, play a whole game, but play 60 minutes of football, but most where they come out prepared and ready to rock. And I think just that experience at Alabama earlier this year when they just came out and looked shell shocked and they got down 28 nothing. But they even started slow against Clemson. But I think that experience will help them there because, yeah, you obviously don't want to fall behind here in a hostile environment again. If they can just come out here with a little more sense of urgency and play 60 minutes of consistent football, I think they're right in this game and they'll have a shot to win. And they're the more desperate team. This is like the new college football. Texas, you can afford a loss here. Georgia, you can still make the college football playoff if you lose this game, but it'll be your second loss, and the schedule still has some potential hurdles on it. I mean, you have go to Ole Miss, you have Tennessee. So I think the more desperate team, they are more battle tested. I agree with you here. I think you have to take Georgia with the points.
Yeah, I think they're
So,
going to have to come out.
yeah,
They're going to have to come out and really they have their back against the wall to go in and win this game. I mean, they're going to have to come out and punch Texas in the mouth, establish the ball on the ground a little bit early and open up some lanes for Carson Beck to throw the ball. But defensively, I think is where they're really ultimately going to have to set the tone. They're going to have to attack Quinn Ewers and really make him uncomfortable throughout the day and really, show that they're flying around with that sense of intensity like you were talking about.
yeah, and this could be like almost uh yeah, like a shell shock to the Texas defense. You look at who they've played. I mean, Carson Beck's throwing it as well as any quarterback in the country right now. I mean, Texas, they played Michigan when Davis Warren was quarterback. They don't have any receiver. They have no semblance of a passing attack. And I already mentioned Oklahoma, you know, their backup quarterback, all their receivers out. They haven't faced, any real confident passing attack yet. So Georgia really has to take advantage, come out and jump the gun for the first time this season against a quality opponent. So I'm looking forward to that one. To summarize, Johnny likes Louisville with the points. You calling Louisville
Yeah,
out right there?
I'm calling Louisville with the points.
No, but you think Louisville wins that game?
I think Miami will find a way to make it ugly and still win.
All right, and then you like Alabama, and then you like Georgia, both with the points, and you think they are gonna pull off the small upset down in Austin.
Shake the college football world up a little bit.
Yeah, so it's been a chaotic year. I think that this is just the new normal. There's not really a clear elite team that's better than the rest. There's not as great a sense of urgency across the board with a new expanded playoff, new NIL transfer portal. That I think the talent at the top kind of is more dispersed. So get used to the chaos. This is how college football is going to operate. I love it in the future. But thanks, Johnny, for joining me.